walking through the fire, shadows on your name. Every scar you carry tells you not to be ashamed. The journey isn't easy, but your soul is worth the fight. Every step you're taking pulls you closer to the light. How you gonna win when you ain't right within? When you have an awakening, it's just the beginning. It takes a lot more than you think, so don't stop your healing. Don't stop your healing. People may not see it, the battles that you face, but breaking down the old walls makes a stronger place. You don't have to hurry, healing has its pace. Even in the silence, love will find its space. How you gonna win when you ain't right within? When you have an awakening, it's just the beginning. It takes a lot more than you think, so don't stop your healing. Don't stop your healing. Keep going, keep growing, even when the pain is showing. Keep rising, keep fighting, your spirit's flame is never dying. How you gonna win when you ain't right within? When you have an awakening, it's just the beginning. It takes a lot more than you think, so don't stop your healing. Just keep going, keep going. Breathe in, let it flow. You're stronger than you know. Every ending starts again. The healing never ends. Keep going, keep going. Keep going, keep growing. This is the life you're owning. Don't stop your healing, no, you're just beginning. So keep going. Welcome to the midnight tide, where shadows whisper, darkness hides. We're diving deep into the unknown. On a journey, you're not alone. From haunted halls to specters lost, we'll guide you through the eerie frost, with tales that chill and spirits roam. A freaking awesome paranormal show. Ghostly whispers, ancient tomes, mysteries in haunted homes. Brace yourselves, it's time to go. The freaking awesome paranormal show. The freaking awesome paranormal show. Ghostly whispers, ancient tomes, mysteries in haunted homes. Brace yourselves, it's time to go. The freaking awesome paranormal show. The freaking awesome paranormal show. Welcome to the midnight tide, where shadows whisper, darkness hides. We're diving deep into the unknown. On a journey, you're not alone. From haunted halls to specters lost, we'll guide you through the eerie frost, with tales that chill and spirits roam. The freaking awesome paranormal show. Ghostly whispers, ancient tomes, mysteries in haunted homes. Brace yourselves, it's time to go. The freaking awesome paranormal show. The freaking awesome
The engine is still
What's to launch? GC, go. Guidance, go. Fido, go. Prop, go. GNC, go. Max, go. Eagle, go. Ecom,
go. Pending final steps. The cabin link check.
3, 2, 1.
Is there anyone here that would like to communicate with us? Can you give us a sign?
Welcome to the Riff Nation Network, the RNN, putting a slide in your glide and a dip in your hip. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe. With shows throughout the week, you can find us at Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and more. Everything you could want, everything you can need right here, right now. From the paranormal to the supernatural. From comedy to the spiritual. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
It's showtime, folks!
Podcast may contain material that some listeners may find sensitive, offensive, or disturbing. We strive to create respectful and informative content, but topics discussed may include mature themes such as violence, explicit language, or controversial subjects, triggering content including discussions related to mental health, trauma, or other sensitive issues, explicit language. Occasionally, our guests or hosts may use strong language. While we aim to handle these topics with care and empathy, we encourage listeners to exercise discretion. If you find any content distressing, consider skipping or seeking support. Remember that this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. If you need assistance, please consult a qualified expert.
What's up, all you freaks out there? This is Ryan.
And Dana.
Our special guest co-host tonight because Rhonda is in Florida right now. And Dana was nice enough to join us tonight on the Freakin Awesome Paranormal Show. How's it going?
It's been a day. Oh, has it been a day?
You know what? It's been a day for me too.
I feel like I don't know. You ever have one of those days where it's like you're doing so much, but you feel like you haven't done anything at all? Like you feel like you've accomplished absolutely everything and nothing at the same time?
Yeah, that's pretty much every day of my life, but yeah.
That was my day today. So, just like, my team lead is out right now. And, so additional responsibilities have been dispersed amongst the team. It was my job today to do one of those additional responsibilities. And, that knocked me through a loop because it was the first time I ever did it. And I needed time, which wasn't necessarily allowed in the situation that we were in today. And it was just crazy. It was just like so getting slammed with so much back to back while I'm trying to do something I've never done before. And then I wound up staying an hour late just to make sure that my responsibilities that were assigned to me prior that are scheduled for me to do certain days of the week were taken care of. And it was just insanity.
So you had to do that plus the stuff that you were supposed to be doing anyways.
Well, yeah, because we're a team, so we're going to
Yeah,
help out when
yeah.
someone else is on vacation and make sure that everything runs smoothly. So, like I said, it was evenly dispersed amongst the team. It's just some of the stuff I'd never done before. So it was like, I need all the time in the world to do this
Yeah.
because I am crazy psycho obsessive about getting things right. So, and then I felt stressed about that. And then it was just like my normal everyday responsibilities at work. I work from home, so the room that I work out of gets very, very hot. And I didn't want to put the air conditioning in yet. So it was in like the 80s today, like high 80s. And I was roasting with just a tiny little window and a fan. So then I'm grumpy. I have a headache because I'm hot. Grumpy because of everything else that's going on. I stay an extra hour, and then there was like some things I didn't even get a break today because I had to attend to family stuff during my break. And then the time between work and now just felt like it flew by, like that I barely got to decompress. And like I took a shower. I asked the water to cleanse me and stop me from ruminating. So like I'm so much better now and I'm cooled down. But I get so grumpy when I'm hot.
Me too. Right, me too. That's why I'm not a big fan of summertime, which, anybody who listens to this show knows that I am not a big fan of summer. But I'm not allowed to complain about it until at least August. So
Yeah.
I'm biting my tongue. But I would say that you definitely had a day.
I did.
You
I even told
had
my
a day.
my leads, like my boss, like my actual boss, I was like, I had to talk to him about something, and I was like, disclaimer. Please disregard any attitude that I give and understand that it is not you or the situation that we are discussing. It is that I am hot, overwhelmed. I didn't say I was overwhelmed, but I am hot and therefore grumpy.
I mean, I think that should be a given. They should be like people should know when it's hot outside and humid that grumpiness will occur. This could be something that should be known, and you don't have to worry about saying anything because it's just the way life is. You see, I think I've been taking showers wrong because I've never asked the water to cleanse me.
Well,
I've already just tried soap and cleaning myself.
Well, it's a spiritual cleanse. So water is sentient, and like if you consciously ask the water to cleanse your aura, cleanse away the negativity from you, help reset your mind, and just kind of clear all that energetic gook off of you, and just kind of stand there for a moment and focus on it. It doesn't it can be like 5 seconds, but just like focusing on it for like a few seconds, whatever that moment in time is for you. And I tend to cool the water down as I do that, just for that more tactile feel.
Mhm.
It'll definitely refresh you and reset you. And it's kind of like a psychological trick too. So it's spiritual and psychological because you're telling your mind, this is the stop point. After this shower and this moment, I am not going to ruminate on things. This is my time to ruminate. And after this, I am done.
I mean, really, you could be killing two birds. You cleanse yourself with the actual soap body wash, whatever you use, and also do a spiritual cleanse at the same time. I think a lot of people who watch the show, they should be doing the same thing.
Absolutely.
I don't think people realize that's something you could do. I just certainly didn't realize that. So
Oh, absolutely. And like when you go on, say, an investigation or something, if the energy feels really icky, if there's natural water sources around it, you can go ahead and you don't have to like dive in unless it's hot and you want to. But like you can rinse your hands and visualize the water removing the negative energy or splashing some on your face. And when you're drying off your face and wiping it off, you can visualize removing the energy. It's a good quick fix if you're not in the situation to be smoke cleansed or grounded or anything like that. And then you can go and ask the water to cleanse you once you actually get the opportunity to take a shower. in addition to whatever your beliefs in cleansing are, whether it be smoke cleansing, sound cleansing, visualization when you're grounding, things like that.
I think that's a great idea. I mean, a lot of places. I mean, you'd say they have bathrooms.
Mm-hmm.
They have a faucet. You can ask the water, to cleanse you after investigation.
Or even during, if you just need a
Or even
break.
like take a bottle of water you
Yeah.
from the store, pour it on your hands, and you can use it that way.
Yeah,
So,
like say for example, you're somewhere that has extremely negative energy, you can go outside, take your breather, do whatever visualization or whatever your practice is, and then go inside and do the visualization with the water and ask the water to actually, as you're cleansing your hands, to cleanse your whole body. It's not going to get your whole body, but it'll at least get some of that energy off you in combination with whatever you did when you took a breather. So it'll help you reset and be able to focus.
at least your hands will be negative.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll have nice positive hands. The rest of your body might be fucked up, but your hands will be nice and clean.
Well, yeah, like if you do your hands and your face, like that's like you can't dunk your whole head in there, but like that's enough to like at least get some of it off of you.
I think this is a good conversation for us to have on Thursday because I can just keep going and going and going. But we have guests
We
that are
do.
in the queue right now. We have Haunts of Richmond joining us tonight. I'll tell you what, I basically just sat down, been going all day, just sat down. So I'm just like you. I'm just like, it's been a day.
Yes.
But I was so excited about talking to my friends from Haunts of Richmond that it was just made the day that much better because I know we're gonna have a lot of fun talking with them tonight. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring them on. Here is Chris right here, and here is Beth. Wow, that is a view, man. That's nice.
Isn't his view nice?
Jeez. That's awesome.
Hey,
Where's that? Where are you at?
I am in downtown Austin. So I'm coming to you from Texas tonight.
Yeah, yeehaw, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yep. Got me on the road, but yeah, no, happy to be here chatting with y'all tonight as well. I've been looking forward to this all day. And it's been a long day because I woke up this morning in Richmond. So
Oh,
yeah.
okay, got me beat there. You're in a different time zone, so you win.
Yeah.
We're not the only ones that had a day because apparently you had a day.
Yeah, I mean,
4
not
for
too
4.
bad. Yeah. Beth had the day. I mean,
Yeah, I
for
had the
me,
day.
yeah. But it is what it is.
But I have a cat, so
Yeah.
Well, there.
Yes.
That makes it better. That makes
Yeah.
it better.
I do miss the cats.
Don't get me started on cats. I've got 4 of them and they are my babies and they make me smile.
Uh-oh.
Oh, he loves us. Now he's back. Okay, there he is. There.
Yeah, sorry,
now, okay.
guys.
Yeah,
No idea what happened there.
that's weird. Thanks, Keith. So, what happened with you, Beth? You said you had a day. Now I'm kind of wondering what that
It
was.
was extremely busy at the day job, both emotionally and physically.
Oh,
So yeah, and I also just sat down because I also had a tour to launch, and I'm building a set for my next skeleton display.
oh wow! I love your hair too. By the way,
Thank you.
It looks awesome.
So if you want to take a guess of what the next display is,
Who's that? I'll show it again. That beetle? Oh, the Wizard of Oz.
yes, it is for
Wow,
Pride
we
Month.
go.
nailed it. First try.
First, I thought it was gonna
So-
be. I thought first I
Wizard
thought
of
beetle would be-
Oz.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
I've been building a wicked tree where you find the Tin Man, and there was a lot of spray foam involved today.
Oh,
So what is that for? What are your displays? Where do we see them?
They're in our front yard on 25th Street. It's something we started during COVID, and then we started getting yelled at for taking the skeletons in by the churches that surround us. And so I keep doing it. So yeah, I do usually 3 big builds a year: summer, Halloween, of course, and Christmas. And then I do smaller displays in between those ones.
I bet the people love that. Besides the church, of course.
Oh, yeah.
But you got to keep them on their toes. You know.
Yeah, they're always asking, when's the next one coming out? I'm like, costume and set change.
Yeah, I mean, you got to let them enjoy your work for a little bit before you change it up. You know.
Yes.
It's a lot of fun on Sunday mornings watching them show up for church, and some of them will stop and they'll look and they'll take pictures.
That's awesome. People clutching their pearls as they walk by.
Not too many of them. Not too many of them. In the years that we've been doing this now, we only just in the last month got our first special letter, if you will. Somebody left a little note for us saying, "Imagine the bravery it took for us to go ahead and ascend the stairs to Hell House to leave you this note." Like,
wow, that's taking
yeah.
themselves way too seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hell House.
Oh
I mean,
my
that's
Hell
God.
House. Yep, Hell House, right next door to the church.
You should
Not the
I
same
find
affiliation.
that
though.
hilarious.
You need to get a mat that says "Welcome to Hell" or something.
Yeah.
To
Actually, we don't quite have that, but we do have like the other ones. We have the Haunted Mansion ones. Welcome, foolish mortals.
Yeah.
Yes. And inside we have Hocus Pocus. Oh, look, another glorious morning.
Yes. I hate it.
I think a lot of people nowadays have a more of a understanding, or I won't say tolerance, but it's just more open-mindedness when it comes to the paranormal. When you first started the Haunts of Richmond, do you think how much do you think people's opinions have changed on the paranormal from when you first started to now?
I mean, I would say that it's definitely gotten much more mainstream since we started. It in the years since Haunts of Richmond started, even when it started, I think that it was fairly well accepted. There wasn't any kind of backlash saying, "Oh, like the audacity of you doing something like this, of sharing ghost stories and whatnot." But I would say that it certainly has grown in popularity over the years, and it's something that you can see not just in Richmond, but all across the country. There's ghost local ghost tour companies like ours in hundreds of cities and small towns across the country, and lots of us that just feel privileged to be able to go ahead and share the haunted history of our areas, and then having so many people that are coming to visit us that are interested in hearing what we have to say. So yeah, I'd say we were pretty fortunate to never really have any kind of backlash, but it certainly has, again, become a little bit more mainstream over the years.
And how did you get started? You have a background in the paranormal. What made you decide to start this whole experience?
I actually started a ghost tour up at my college for a theme house event. And I've always been interested in the spooky. That when we moved to Richmond, one of my co-teachers actually was a guide for Haunts of Richmond. And she said, "Hey, come on my tour." And afterward, she told me we were hiring, and I was hired the next year. Chris came on about 2 years later. And then in 2016, we became the owners of the business.
Yeah. So full disclosure, we can't take credit for founding the company, but Beth has been with the company since, only after a couple of years into its existence, and I was on the heels a little bit thereafter. But yeah, we've owned the company for a little over a decade now, and yeah, very, very fortunate to be in the position that we're in. And as far as my personal background, I mean, yes, I did come in basically kind of on Beth's heels. We were already married and all that at the time. We didn't meet via Haunts of Richmond. And a little bit of a ghost story, which we can get to in just a minute. as to exactly how I got involved with Haunts of Richmond. But, growing up, um, to be perfectly clear, I'm not a sensitive by any means. I'm not somebody that sees spirits with my own eyes or hears the whispers with my own ears. I certainly participated in a lot of investigations where things get caught, audio wise, and interesting things get picked up on camera and whatnot. So while I'm not as sensitive in that way, I've always certainly had an interest and an appreciation for the paranormal. I grew up, my parents would take us, my brother and I, to a lot of historic sites. And there was always something like a ghost book or something there. And I grew up reading a lot of those ghost books. I grew up watching spooky movies. So I've always had an appreciation for it. Yeah, stepping in and being able to be a part of Haunts of Richmond now is, again, it's a privilege. It's something that's a lot of fun to be able to share what we do with people.
What surprised you the most about owning or running, I guess, a ghost tour? Like, what's something you didn't expect?
It's it's a lot of work.
It
I mean,
is.
and I'm not going to say I didn't expect it to be a lot of work, but there's even more than I think that what we might have expected out of the gate. And it's all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. A lot of people from the outside might just look at it and say, "Oh yeah, you just have stuff on the calendar like for a couple hours a night," and that's true. I mean, we offer our tours in the evenings, and it's usually just over a couple of hour period, but there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, keeping up and running a legal operation, licensed, insured, and everything that goes along with that. It takes up a lot more time than I'd say actually giving the tours themselves does. Unfortunately, but it's just a part of being able to make sure that we can do what we do and do it in a safe and legal manner.
Yeah,
So,
so Chris handles a lot of the like advertising and business side of things, whereas I'm doing more of the research and the tour preparation and adjustments and updates to our scripts and those types of things.
how often, when you get a new story, a new script, how often do you practice a story before you actually put it out on a tour?
Quite a few times. We'll read through it, of course, ourselves, but then we'll have the guides look at it to make sure that the flow sounds right. We don't expect them to ever memorize the story verbatim, but to be very well familiar with it, to be able to recite the correct historical facts and those types of things. But for example, like we are working on updating our campus scripts, and we discovered that one of the tours stories that we had on our Phantoms of Franklin script actually belongs on our campus script, because we discovered that there were two Colonel Andersons in Richmond at the same time.
Three, actually.
Three. Sorry, three.
Yeah. Yeah. In the early 1900s in Richmond, there were three Colonel Andersons. Two of them went by Colonel A. Anderson, and there were two Anderson houses. And we made a little bit of a mistake in referring to the wrong Anderson house for a long time, because turns out that our source material where we got it from, which was actually the Richmond Times-Dispatch, I think it was in 1968, they got confused by the wrong Colonel A. Anderson. And it wasn't until I really got into the weeds and took another look and cross compared it to a couple of other articles and things like that I realized, like, wait. Times Dispatch half century ago referred to the wrong Colonel Anderson, and that we in turn have been referring to the wrong one since. So we just have corrected that in like the last month and a half.
I mean, that's cool, because I know, I mean, people might not do that because the only person that would know would be you guys, because you assume people who go on tours, they don't know the different houses. Maybe they do, but the fact that you actually, you know, put the effort into actually make sure that it was the right house,
Yeah.
you
And
know, there's a
the
lot.
cool thing is that the house actually still stands. Originally, we thought the house had been destroyed.
Oh, wow.
So the fact that it's now an actual standing house that we can stand in front of and refer to is a lot of fun.
Versus the other one, which unfortunately the other Anderson house was torn down, I think about 1970. And it had an interesting, you know, interesting people associated with it, interesting location. But yeah, the Times Dispatch just referred to the wrong Colonel A. Anderson and got a little couple wires crossed, and turns out, well, we can actually refer to the correct Colonel Anderson and the correct Anderson house, the one that coincidentally still stands, not even a half a mile from the one that was torn down in 1970. So it's yeah, there's so much out there, and it's really rewarding. I don't know, for me personally, to be able to take the time and dive into the weeds and be able to pick out some stuff like that every once in a while.
Is there?
That is so awesome. Sorry, Ryan.
No, yo, go
Because
ahead.
it
I
just
was
shows
waiting. I
that
was
like
like, I'm talking too much here. Let Dana talk for a second.
that just shows that your true dedication to what you're doing, and as well as your dedication to history and accuracy, because most people would see an article and just assume that it's fact and that the person went ahead and did their due diligence as far as researching. So the fact that you can find something like that and go ahead and bring it to life and correct it and actually tell those stories of the past going forward it's pretty awesome.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is really cool to be able to do it. And yeah, as I said, yeah, I keep referring to it as a privilege. And it, you know, might sound a little campy, but it is. Just to be able to do it that way. And I tell people, it's like, yeah, we are a ghost tour company, but first our first priority is making sure that the history that we're sharing that's associated with our ghost stories, that we're sharing accurate history. um we owe that to the people and the places that are associated with that history, to make sure that we're sharing their stories in an accurate and truthful manner. So um yeah, that the history really comes first and foremost for us. The fact that we have the ghost stories to go with it is a lot of fun, and you know, something that we really do enjoy being able to share the spooky stories as well. But the spooky stories don't really mean much if they don't have the actual, you know, the accurate history to back them up. At least that's how our approach is.
And I totally agree with that approach, because I've gone on ghost tours just like here where I'm located in Pennsylvania, where it was just like story after story. But if I go to a historical place or a place that has history, maybe not like in a historical sense, but like they've been around, they've got their own stories. I want a little bit of both, because when it comes to ghost stories, they're tied to history. Like the two are interwoven. So like you can go to a house that has paranormal activity, but you're not going to understand it unless you know the history of the house, the history of the family. So to see someone so due diligent, like that makes me happy as a consumer who goes on ghost tours.
And
We're
it
right up your
definitely
alley
helps.
then.
It definitely helps with understanding the paranormal activities that are happening. We have somebody who gave us a story about one of the old tobacco warehouses that they are currently living in, and they were wondering why were their ceramic mugs getting targeted and getting destroyed. And we were actually able to look up the map of the old tobacco warehouse, the interior design layout. And we found out that where their apartment is actually where the staff break room used to be. And
Oh,
so
wow.
she decided she was going to start leaving coffee out for the ghost. And all of a sudden her mug stopped breaking.
Oh,
Makes
yes.
sense.
They wanted coffee. That's so cool.
Yes.
That's awesome. And
Makes
I
total
think
sense.
I a lot of times when people go on investigations and they look at the spirits as objects, or they forget that they were actual people
Mhm.
who lived life and had hopes, had dreams, had fears. And that story really brings back the humanity to the spirits that haunt these places, you know?
Hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it's it's one thing to go out on an investigation. It's very exciting, when you do manage to catch a some sort of EVP, or if you do hear disembodied footsteps or something like that. It can be very exciting in the moment. But when you get past that like initial moment of having that paranormal experience, um, I think that it helps the moment linger a little more, if you will, or the excitement can only grow if you can do a little digging and find out, like, well, why did I hear that? Or that EVP, that the word that came across, does it make sense in the historic context of the place? And that's where I think that there's so much room for there's for the investigative side of things, the storytelling side of things. There's a lot of room for both, and there's a lot of overlap and opportunity for those sides of the paranormal interests to overlap and work together.
Hmm.
Do you think Richmond gets slept on as a paranormal like city?
Absolutely. I I mean, Beth, do you want to chime in on that? I mean, I can absolutely, without a doubt, in my opinion.
It has given us so much to work with. I mean, we have 6 routes through the city and so many more stories that we just can't even work into a tour. And so we have to figure out other ways to like share those stories with people that have been documented through the years, and the ones that we're still getting today. We just did an interview, and all of a sudden we now have, I think, 2 more buildings we need to look into to possibly add to one of our tours. So
But yeah, there's so much to Richmond. It is one of the oldest established cities in the United States. It was officially established in 1737, and even before that, European settlers had moved in the 1600s, and then the Native Americans had lived on the land for hundreds, if not thousands, of years before that. It's been continuously inhabited for a very, very long time. And also, I think what kind of, I guess you could say, maybe handicaps Richmond a little bit in public perception is the fact that it served as the capital of the Confederacy during the Civil War, which was certainly a very pivotal moment in the city's history. There's no denying that in any way, shape, or form. But people focus on that 4-year period with such intensity that
Mhm.
so much of the other history gets pushed into the background.
mhm.
And that, honestly, it's not fair to the rest of that history. One of the greatest things I think that we are able to do on our tours is be able to shine a light on some of that other history that takes place through the ghost stories that we share.
Mhm.
Because not all of the ghosts that we have to talk about, they're not all Civil War soldiers. They're not all like from the Victorian era. They span every chapter of Richmond's history. And
I mean, we have ghosts that are from revolutionary times all the way up to 2014, I think, is our most recently documented one.
mhm.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, so it's It's a wide range of history that gets covered in just very small sections of the city.
Yeah, there's a lot of history that a lot of people, I guess, don't pay attention to because of, just like you said, Civil War. That's all people
Mhm.
seem to care about. But there's Prohibition, there's the
Mhm.
1920s, there's all the
Yep.
stuff that happened in the 60s and 70s.
Yep.
All
Mhm.
it's a lot of history that people forget about when it comes to Richmond. I think, of course, you have cities like Charleston and Savannah who were part of the Civil War, but maybe they
Mhm.
weren't. They weren't the capital, so maybe they don't really get the stigma that Richmond seems to have. Is there a particular building or place that actually surprised you that it was haunted?
Ooh, that's a good question.
The Federal Reserve,
Ooh,
both of them.
Yeah, and that the more recent or the newest Federal Reserve is probably the most surprising one. But yeah, both of the Federal Reserve and its predecessor building, which is the predecessor to the current Federal Reserve building, is the one that still stands next to Capitol Square and still serves today as the Virginia Supreme Court. So both of those buildings have ghost stories associated with them.
Yeah.
can you tell us one?
Go for it, Beth.
So the original Federal Reserve, there's a story that Paul Hope shares with us in his book, Policing the Paranormal. One of their female officers was up on the fifth floor on her break going to the vending machines, and she was looking at the machine trying to decide what she wanted as a snack when she noticed a gentleman in a rumpled brown suit walk up behind her, kind of looking down but up with his eyes in a very menacing way. As she turned around, nobody was there. She turned back around, she could still see the reflection of him behind her, at which point she dropped her change, turned, and ran. She went to the elevator, decided it was taking too long, and decided to run down 5 flights of stairs, all while calling intruder in the building over her walkie-talkie. Now, Paul was actually on duty that night. He was in the main building, the main Capitol building, so he was hearing this unfold over the radio. They did a full sweep of the building, didn't find anything. They actually watched the security footage. They didn't see the gentleman, but they saw her reactions exactly as she had described them. She refused to work the night shift ever again.
That's got to be scary, man.
Yeah.
So there's that one, and then a couple other like kind of surprising ones. Maybe you might or might not expect it. The VCU Medical Complex or MCV, the modern buildings that are there for MCV. I mean, there's like the historic building, like the Egyptian building. There's ghost stories associated with that, and given how old it is and the history, not necessarily surprising that there's ghost stories, but right next across the street, the modern buildings also have some experiences. We've heard from many of the doctors and nurses there that they hate to go down in the area around the morgue. And that in and of itself kind of, it makes sense. The morgue, it's kind of an uncomfortable space,
Creepy.
you could
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
But
Oh
some
yeah,
of them have gone so
absolutely.
far as to say that they have actually encountered people in the hallways outside the morgue, the people that they have dropped off at the morgue. And
Like
they've
where?
encountered, yes.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it's like
god.
they
Like
wheeled them
two
into the
days
morgue.
later, they
Yeah.
encounter that person in the hallway.
Yeah.
Huh.
So
Wow. Well,
there's been that. And then on a different note, there's the Richmond Public Library, the main
Mhm.
branch, the one that's right there on Franklin Street in the middle of town. There's a spirit there, an entity known as the Whistler. Don't necessarily know who it is. Based on the activity that takes place around them, it makes sense that it's probably one of the librarians or maybe even a somebody from like the custodial staff that may have worked there once upon a time. They have a tendency to like straighten loose books, and if a book has been misshelved, people might come in and find it taken off that shelf and set aside as if like, no, 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 this book doesn't go here. And some of that activity is associated with a disembodied whistling that they'll hear throughout the library. Yeah, so there's that as well.
I just have that scene in Ghostbusters in my head
Yes.
where
Yep.
they're downstairs
You
in your public library. You know,
you just took the words out of my mouth. Like, get out of my head.
I I love that movie. When I said earlier, like I watched spooky movies growing up, I think I watched the original Ghostbusters at least once a
it's
week.
a classic,
Yes.
definitely a classic.
That's one of my
Oh,
husband's favorite movies, and there's always been an ongoing joke because there is no Dana, only Soul.
Mhm.
there
Yes.
we go.
It's amazing. It's oh god, I hate to say it, it's over 40 years now and it still holds up so well.
It
They don't
does.
become like they used to. Honestly, I going out a little bit of a tangent. I don't think there's any movies that are made today where people 40 years from now will be like, yeah, I got to watch this. I got to put it in.
They're
It's just,
rare.
they just don't do it anymore.
No, they're. I think that modern movies, the ones that people will still be talking about a half century on, they're going to be very few and far between, unfortunately.
Now, I'm
Absolutely.
wondering if that's because the lack of choices we had when we were younger too. Like you didn't have a million channels to watch. So if someone
Yeah.
rented a movie, you had to watch it because there was
Mhm.
nothing else.
Mhm.
That's
You
an
know?
excellent point. We're spoiled for choice now, and it can make so much just get washed away, I guess you could say, in the constant literal stream of video that's coming out across all these different platforms.
But
I
at the same
totally
time,
agree. Oh, sorry.
I was going to
And
say it. Go ahead.
sorry. Um, I was just thinking, like, in regards to movies and stuff, there is a certain flavor that every decade puts on their movies. And I
Mhm.
feel like everybody is going to be more partial to whatever flavor they have lived through. And so for like people like us, I'm like, oh my God, they don't make movies like they did in the 80s and 90s.
Mhm.
Um, but
We're
then
the
the
old
problem is,
people now.
yeah,
Back
and
in
then
my
but the
day,
problem is too that that's a specific flavor. Like I like current movies. I just prefer that dialogue, that wittiness, that improv, that freedom that they had back then. And it's kind of hard now because movies have been made for so long to have an original idea.
Mhm.
that's true. Lots of remakes.
Oh
So many
yes.
remakes.
Hmm.
You know, there's lots of choices, but at the same time, all the channels, the ghost hunting, shows that have been on, they've got to help, foster interest in what you're doing.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's not all bad.
No, no, absolutely. I mean, there was, I think in recent years, I think it may have ebbed just a little bit. We're still doing fine. We still got lots of people coming out and joining us on the tours, but there was a period, I don't know, I would say between 8 to 10 years ago, maybe, that a lot of it almost reached like a fever pitch. It was the pre-COVID years. Um, there were a lot of the paranormal shows were on TV, lots of different options, and it did. I think it drove a lot of interest and a lot of people coming out and checking out, and taking the tours. And again, we still get a fair number of people coming out, but yeah, there was a period, a fever pitch period, I think, in that. I say 8 to 10. 7 to 9, whatever. That's the
Mhm.
other thing. Post-COVID, time doesn't really mean too much anymore. Whenever it was.
There was before COVID, then after COVID.
Yeah,
Like,
Mhm.
you
basically.
know, um,
Everything after COVID is a blur.
It is.
yeah, it really is.
You're not wrong.
It's like you get in this mindset when you were stuck at home, and now it's just you never really got out of it.
Hmm.
You know, um, how many tours do you guys do? How many different tours do you guys have?
So we have 6 different tours in 6 different neighborhoods. Then we do our special events with Patrick Henry Pub and Grill and other partners around. Um, then we also will partner and just do random storytelling events at like libraries and senior citizen homes, college classes. We'll speak with that sort of thing.
Do either of you have a favorite route or but yeah, a favorite route that you prefer, like that has like the stories that just really like pop you or inspire you?
Chris really likes Churchill because that's how we found our house.
Yeah.
I was actually giving the tour and he saw the for sale sign and we were under contract 48 hours later.
So we have
But
a soft spot for it. Yeah, we
We do.
live right there.
but I have a soft spot for Shades Inspectors of Court End because it's our most recent tour and it's one that I'm still working on finding more tales and doing more interviews for. Same thing with our Creepy Tales on Campus. That one started as a favor to VCU for their family weekend, and then we grew it from there into a full-fledged tour, and we're still researching on that one as well.
Yeah, and it's kind of one of those things. It's that question, like which is your favorite kid? Like maybe you really do have a favorite kid, but you don't really want to admit to having a favorite kid.
Not in public anyway.
Yeah, but I so while I do have that soft spot for Churchill, there's each of the tours has a very unique personality, both in the nature of the tour itself and then quite literally in some of the people that we wind up talking about on the tours. It's amazing that all 6 of those tour routes, they're basically within a couple miles of one another. But each of the neighborhoods is so distinct from the next that it maybe it's because of how it developed, like the era that it really developed in the city of Richmond's history, or what the purpose of the neighborhood was. Like, for example, our Capitol Hill tour really focused on Virginia state politics, if you will, and stuff like that. But we're very spoiled in that you don't have to go too far just hopping from one neighborhood to another and being able to see so many different aspects of Richmond's history, Richmond's architecture, and all of the people and events that go with that.
Is there a story that I would say scared you, but kind of rubbed you the wrong way?
Ooh. Well, I think, and maybe Beth, just scared you. The theater?
Altria?
Yes.
Because
Because of
not
what
scared
happened to
me,
you.
but it definitely jolted me. I was actually there for a classroom field trip that I brought my students to, and we ended up going to the the third level of the backstage fly area. I got shoved by an unseen hand while we were up there. And the students actually saw a dusty handprint on my back, and we quickly vacated the area. But it was one I was not expecting to get shoved in that space. And definitely was not feeling very safe after that happened. I love the space. I love the theater. There's so many ghost stories there. But there's also some that are very protective of their space.
Is there a particular story that when you're like, oh wow, this story is creepy? Like you walk by the building, you're like, oh, I know I know what happened here, and that's
Mhm.
not right.
We actually do talk about some dark history stories on our Creepy Tales on campus. We talk about the murder of uh, a young lady who was 8 months pregnant by her fiance slash lover. It's one that took place. It was known as a reservoir murder, and it's where the Clark Springs Elementary School is today. But it covers a very dark topic of an unwed woman who was looking to get an abortion, and she was killed by her um, lover slash fiance because he couldn't take the disgrace of having a child out of wedlock with his cousin.
And I think another one is just the Egyptian building. The history behind the Egyptian building and the resurrectionists, the most famous of which is Old Chris or Chris Baker, who effectively lived in the Egyptian building for most of his life. That's a very grim chapter of Richmond's history. It's one that we feel is very important for it to be told. But it can be a difficult subject to talk about because there are very distinct racial tones to it, in that most of the bodies that were snatched were those of African American individuals. It was simply easier to steal their bodies at that point in time. Um, and the fact that all of this was going on, effectively desecration of graves, and this was happening in the name of medical advancement, and all under the guise as well of a respected medical institution. It's a very grim chapter of, um, certainly MCV's history. And it's at the same time, it's not unique to MCV. It's a chapter of medical history that repeated time and again across the country and even around the world. But to going and being able to see it in our own backyard, with the Egyptian building there and knowing what happened there, is certainly can be a very difficult and sometimes uncomfortable topic to talk about. But again, it's important that that it gets told so that people can learn and remember what happened.
It's really disturbing, that part of our history, but at the same time, it makes you wonder how far setback we would be if stuff like that didn't happen, which is bad to talk about, but it's
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 unfortunate.
It's part of our
constant
history
balance.
for sure. Yeah.
It's
I'm
it's
not
a
trying to
push and pull.
like, oh, that's good or
Very
whatever.
important. It's very important to talk about these things too, because if we don't actually recognize and look at the darker parts of our past, then we're doomed to repeat them. So we do need to be respectful, but yet bring these situations to light, because otherwise it's just going to happen again with a different face on it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you have any good stories from the Science Museum?
Actually, well, not that I'm aware of, Beth.
I can tell you there's something there, but I don't have a story. I get followed every time I go there.
Well, now I want to go there.
I mean, it's a really cool building. It was an old train station, so I figured there's got to be some spirits there, just leftover spirits from all the people that were there. It's got to be some residual energy out there for sure.
Yeah, and a lot of train stations, or you could even say airports, hotels, places of transit that see You know, thousands and thousands of people come and go every year. There's almost inevitably something residual that gets left behind. Um, and that, when it comes to precisely with what we do exactly, that can get a little challenging sometimes, just because so many people have come and gone that it's not surprising that there's activity, but knowing who or why that activity is taking place can be really challenging to try and pin down. So it can, yeah, it makes it a little more difficult with the, I guess you could say the storytelling aspect of it. Doesn't make it any less fascinating. It's just something a bit more challenging for us.
Yeah, that makes sense. We're getting kind of close to the end here. I want to give you guys a chance to talk about how people can get in touch with you, or how people can, get tickets for tours, and what tours are, going on when. But before we go, I do want to ask you if you have one more story that you would like to share with us.
Sure. I actually, I alluded to it once already, how I actually got involved with Haunts of Richmond. It wasn't just because I was married to Beth, and the how I actually got involved was Beth was going down, giving tours. At that point in time, there was really just two tours. There was Shockoe Bottom and Capitol Hill. And oftentimes when she was giving the Shockoe Bottom tour, I would come down, and sometimes I'd walk on the tour, but more often than not, I'd wind up at one of the local bars, just kind of hanging out for a little bit, having a beer or two. And Beth would wrap up her tour and come back, and I'd pay the tab and find that for whatever she'd earned, I'd pretty much drank most of it away. um,
Yep.
but and this was at a time when we had an official partnership with the Poe Museum, where we had the opportunity to go in and start the tours inside the Poe Museum. That relationship, we're still on good terms with the museum, to be very clear, we're good terms with them, but they found other much more profitable ways to spend their evenings at the museum other than opening the doors for us, and so amicably parted ways a while ago. But when we were officially partnered with them, part of the stipulation was there always had to be a Poe Museum staff member there to unlock the museum doors and let people in. Makes sense, liability thing and whatnot. And that responsibility almost always fell to a young lady named Erica. Erica was pretty much the only person on the museum staff that was happy to put in those extra hours later in the evening. And that was all up until one day in, I think it was October of 2010, 2011. I forget the exact year. But Erica had already been at the museum all day. And then it's October, so the ghost tours are going full tilt, and there's a couple of tours going out of the Poe Museum. So she's got an extra long evening there hanging out at the museum while the tours are going on. And when she's there for the tours, she's there more or less by herself, because she opens the doors, tour comes in, there's an introduction, tour goes to the neighborhood. She sits by herself in the old stone house there at the Poe Museum until the tour comes back. And a little bit long story short, one particular evening, the resident spirit of the old stone house, a little boy named Jonathan, got a little too rambunctious for Erica's taste, running back and forth upstairs in the old stone house, footsteps, stomp, 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 stomp. Nothing malicious, but just enough to be very unnerving. And at the end of the evening, Erica decided she'd had enough. She wound up, after the tours wrapped, it was like 10:30 at night. She called the curator of the museum and quit on the spot.
Wow.
Yeah, it left everybody in a bit of a lurch, and the museum not having anybody else that wanted to step up into that role. Everybody's kind of frantically looking around, and then someone like, hey, Chris hangs out down here a lot while Beth's giving tours. You want to see if he's interested? So my beginnings with Haunts of Richmond, I was actually officially hired by the Poe Museum to be the Poe Museum staff member to open the museum for the tours in the evening. And I did that for a couple of years. And again, when Haunts of Richmond and the museum amicably parted ways, as far as the business relationship went, I stuck with Haunts of Richmond, continued on with like hosting duties and stuff like that. And well, here I am still doing it to this day. So yeah, that's kind of how I ultimately got wrapped into this. I can thank Jonathan at the Old Stone House down there at the Poe Museum.
Was Erica aware of the spiritual like ghosts, or it was just
Yes, she was aware,
Okay.
and Jonathan had just pushed her to her point.
Oh, I got you.
Yep.
Well, we all have our, that's enough. Our breaking point, I guess, when it comes to stuff like that. Can you tell us really quick before about your podcast?
Beth?
Okay, so we actually started them when COVID hit, and I had nothing to do. But we are on Facebook Live every other Monday, and then we transfer everything over to our YouTube page afterwards. So we have over 100 videos on there now that you can
Over 150.
yeah that you can definitely catch up on, and it allows us to go outside of the Richmond and Virginia area with our ghost storytelling. So we get to have a lot of fun with that. We've done most of the 50 states for about 3/4 of the way through, plus international and other things that we just kind of focus in on. And then Chris will also, when he's traveling like he is today, he will actually go and do some videoing and kind of do like a vlog of those ghostly stories.
Yep. So short form stuff for more aimed for like TikTok and Reels.
Mhm.
So I do have something that I will be putting together here for Austin. I don't honestly, I still actually have a couple of things in the queue from our last trip that I still have to put together and issue. So what I video here, it might be a couple of weeks before it comes out, but yeah, some of the short form stuff. Stuff from our travels. Occasionally, I'll throw in something from in Richmond as well, and other little funny little things here and there. The kind of stuff that you find on TikTok and stuff like that. So we have the long form stuff that you can find in the video section of our YouTube page. You can join us live, as Beth said, on Facebook every couple of weeks, roughly. We put together event postings for that, so you can check that out on our Facebook page. And and then the more short form stuff that we're still kind of working and building into a little bit. We were, I guess you could say, maybe a little late to the game on TikTok, but we're there and using it. So all kinds of stuff. We love spooky stuff, not just in Richmond, but we seek it out wherever we go.
So you're doing research for your podcast in different cities at the same time, doing research for your
Tours.
tour.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
This is what a retired English teacher does.
Wow. So again, I'm gonna keep talking, but how do you find new stories about Richmond?
Um,
Oh, about
a
Richmond?
library? Yeah.
Yeah,
The-
library, newspapers, somebody coming up to us and saying, "Hey, I live here. This happens. Do you know anything?" And then we take a nice research dive.
That's the biggest driver for us in like for individual news stories is people coming to us and asking if we know about a place. But like if and we're not currently developing any new tour routes, but the Spectres and Shades of Court End one that we did, our newest one that we I guess, gosh, what were we, almost 4
3
years
years
into
ago.
that now?
Yeah.
It's been a few years, but I know we did a lot of legwork diving into newspaper archives and the like, to get a good backbone for the tour, and then also being able to kind of flesh it out with more modern things, stories that people have come to us with after launching the tour. Like, for example, what I told you about the modern MCV hospital. Those are stories that after we started offering Spectres and Shades of Cordend, people joined us on that tour and like, hey, I work there and this is what's happened to me here. So that's the kind of stuff that that it's a lot of it is deep dive into dusty archives, and a good chunk of it is also people coming forward, volunteering their stories, and then we'll do legwork to kind of validate those stories. Not exactly, we're not trying to repeat their paranormal experience, but seeing if what they're experiencing makes sense in the context of the location.
So there's a lot of legwork that goes into getting to the point where you're actually telling the story to
Yeah.
the guests.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
On the tour.
Our Phantoms of Franklin tour is one that the original founders developed, but it was never a full hour and a half tour. It was always lacking in some stories. And so we shelved it for a while. Then, when Chris and I took over the business, I decided to dive into research to see if I could find a couple more spaces that we could talk about. And we were finally able to get it past the 90 minutes. So we actually have more to talk about than we actually have time for now.
Do you do a lot of work with like pacing and like talk slow, time it out so you're not finishing
Yes.
an hour and a half tour in an hour, Is it
Yes.
like
and
sitting
and
around, "Whoop, what do you wanna talk about?"
every tour is gonna vary depending on how fast people walk, how many questions are asked, that sort of thing.
Mhm. That's true. That's do you ever when you if someone's asking too many questions, you ever be like, all right, we got to keep moving?
There can be a little bit of that. It doesn't happen too often. Every once in a while, you'll get somebody that asks a lot of questions, and usually at that point, we just say, hey, tell you what, let's hang out after the tour a little bit, and we can chat for a little bit. That way, we don't have like the entire tour crowd there on the
Just hanging out.
periphery of this Q&A session. We don't have to do that too often though. And honestly, getting, say like a question or two per location that we stop at, it keeps people engaged, keeps everybody engaged, keeps the guests engaged. It honestly keeps the guides engaged in the sense that it guides will feed off the energy of the people that they're leading. So,
Not in a weird vampiric way, but it does
Yeah.
let us know
Yeah,
that you're
yeah.
enjoying yourself.
yeah, it helps to know that you're engaged and that you're paying attention, that you're interested. And if you start asking some, I guess maybe some more pointed questions that are maybe a little leading, it can help even like I guess you could say fine tune the flow of the tour moving forward from there. Knowing like, oh hey, this group of people, they seem to be particularly interested in XYZ here. Let's go ahead and give them a little bit more of what they seem to be really after.
Well, I could go on and ask you all these questions for another hour, but I think my dog needs to go out for a walk because she was whining by the door.
Aww.
If
My cat's been biting my arm the whole time. He's hungry.
okay, you got to shut up. I've got to go outside. But I do want to ask you to talk about real quick how people can find you and what tours you have coming up, anything special you have coming up that you want people to know about.
Actually, yes.
Floor is yours.
So I'll take the special. We actually have a sister tour company called RVA Hidden Histories, and we are launching a brand new tour that is the legends and lore of Hollywood Cemetery.
Ooh.
Yes, so that's our newest tour.
Awesome.
And our first run of that's actually going to be 9 a.m. on May 2nd. It's a Saturday morning, and tickets are now available for that on RVA Hidden Histories website.
That's
Chris,
awesome.
Let's see. Look, other special event. We will be vending at the Richmond Ren Fair this next weekend. So we're looking forward to that. But other than that, the main things that we got going on right now is just the tours. Tours are available most nights through the year. Like earlier this evening, Beth got one of our Creepy Tales on Campus tours. One of our guides is out running that. So we got the tours most nights through the year. People can find tour tickets at hauntsofrichmond.com. So just look us up, Haunts of Richmond, and you can find whatever we got on the tour calendar coming up. And for other stuff, keep up with us on social media. Very active on Facebook, on Instagram, as far as like what we have coming up event wise. Those are probably the best platforms for what we have coming up. And if you just like other spooky stories and stuff like that, our TikTok and YouTube platforms are good places to go and check that out as well. So yeah.
Wow.
And those platforms, depending on the platform, sometimes it's just Haunts of Richmond. Other times it might be Richmond Haunts. It's a thing. But if you see the Haunts of Richmond logo, you'll know it's us.
Awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Like I said, I could go on for another hour talking to you. So I think we need to have you back on.
It's been too long. It's been too long. I can't remember the last time that. Yeah. It's not the first time we've done this, but it's been quite a while since the last time we've done this. So I'm glad that we got to do this again.
Me too. We don't need to wait so long again. We'll definitely have you guys back on very soon. Dana, thank you very much for joining us tonight, helping me out tonight. Really appreciate you coming on.
Not a problem.
And if you thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to miss Dana so much, don't worry. She's coming back with me on Thursday night on TikTok. She's going to be giving live tarot card readings on the Freakin Awesome Paranormal Show TikTok page. So if you guys want tarot card readings, you can join us on Thursday at 9:00 p.m. on the Freakin Awesome Paranormal Show TikTok page. Guys, thank you so much. And we will be back Thursday night. Same freaking awesome time. Same freaking awesome show. Exactly, guys. See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, y'all.